Hello and welcome. My name is Stella Morisi, and I'd like to talk to you today about accelerated personal evolution. What are the fundamentals that we in the well systems paradigm have discovered over 30 years of research and practical application? These are the six things that time and again prove themselves absolutely critical in our evolution. So they're critical because they help us connect to our truth, which of course is our authenticity. When we're connected to our truth, we know ourselves authentically. So these are the processes that you can apply anytime, any day, in any breath when a trigger presents itself. So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Stella, and I am a catalyst for accelerated evolution and the emerging self. My intention for connecting with you is to help you discover just how powerful you are when you begin to live internally referenced. So we'll talk about what does it mean to be internally referenced. We talk a lot about that in the well systems paradigm. Essentially, it means living from the inner cues presenting from your body. So that's what this presentation is actually all about. Trusting the truth of your own experience opens the gateway to expanded consciousness and accelerated evolution. Louise Lebrun, who is the founder of Well Systems. So, what does this mean? Essentially, what this is saying is that truth, the ultimate evolving, emerging truth, only lives within. It cannot live anywhere but within the crucible of our own bodies. And so it's very important to actually connect to our bodies in order to be able to decipher, decode the messages of the body and be able to hear the truth of our experience as opposed to the stories implemented and imposed upon by another. The women that I work with and the women that are attracted to the well systems way of life seek transformation, not incremental, small bite changes. They seek to transform the quality of their lives. So, in order to transform the quality of your life, you have got to get intimately connected with your body. Your body is your friend. It is potentially your best friend. Why? Because it lets you know the truth of your own experience. So, in the allopathic therapy model paradigm, what we do is we actually think of the body as mechanical. So if there's something that's wrong with the liver, we, take a pill to attack the liver, or we take the liver out, or whatever it happens to be. In this paradigm, we begin to notice that the things that are manifesting in the body are actually metaphors. And when we learn how to decipher the metaphors of what the body is saying, we become empowered to hear the truth of our own experience. So when we don't think of the body as mechanical, but instead as a quantum biological processor, then we begin to notice that what it's processing is energy and information in flow. So that is why these six fundamentals on reclaiming your personal power are so important. When you recognize that your body is your friend, so that is a fundamental in and of itself. The ability and willingness to trust your body. So if you're willing, ability develops, because if you stay with these as triggers present in your life, you begin to discover that you can actually trust your body because it is your friend. So these are the six fundamentals that I will delve into some detail in the next little while. So first and foremost, breathe. Without breath, there is no life. Follow the impulse. What is the impulse? The impulse moves through the body and it is your truth. Let yourself know the truth of your own experience. So as the impulse moves, you discover something, let yourself know what that is. Do not shut it down. Stay in the tough conversations. And the toughest one you'll ever stay in is with yourself. Be willing to stand alone. Your truth is uniquely yours. And so, in that, if you're willing to stay with that, you will discover more. And finally, shape or be shaped by your world. If you're not intentionally making choices that are congruent toward a particular vision, intention of your creation, you will perpetually fall victim to your habituated ways of moving through the world or your favorite storytellers. So keep these in mind as you move through your day. Print this out or take a screenshot, or you can find it on my website quite readily. Make sure that these are the things that you're focusing on your day-to-day, moment-to-moment existence. So let's delve a little bit deeper into what do these things mean. So first is breathe. Your body is a quantum biological processor. What does that mean? It took me about a year within this paradigm to actually really viscerally grok what that means. Your body is a device that can actually process. It is designed to process information in flow. So that's why you can have a thought, and that thought will actually shift the topography of your own body. So think of the last time you had, for example, an aha moment. You don't know that you're going to have an aha moment until the aha moment actually happens. And in the nanosecond that you notice the aha moment, your whole neurology shifts. And now you're different. And you're different because the context from which you live your life has shifted as a consequence of that discovery. It's a really, really fun way to live. At least I think so. So if your body is a quantum biological processor, which science now tells us that it is, check out Nassim Haramein's latest work. It's incredible. Breath is the vehicle that sustains it. And so when you're breathing habitually, what you're sustaining is the status quo of your life. So if you're breathing, let's just take a moment and pay attention. How are you breathing right now? Are you breathing nice and deep? Or are you holding on the inhale? Or are you holding on the exhale? So if you're holding on the inhale, that's information. My habituated way of breathing has been holding on the inhale. So that means that I'm bracing against. So generally people that hold on the inhale are waiting for the other shoe to drop. And so they want to be ready to, fight that scenario. They want to be ready to pay attention to all the things. And so they hold on the inhale. People that hold on the exhale, on the other hand, tend to be very lethargic and down and hopeless. And really, it's like they cannot inhale life force into their being. And so they're perpetually slow and sad. And that sort of energetic framework makes up their being. So what's your habituated way of breathing? Because once you notice, you can actually begin to intentionally shift it. So right here, right now, let's pause for a moment. And just exhale what's there for you to exhale. And in your next inhale, inhale slowly and deeply to the base of your spine. And hold just for a second and then exhale. A nice long exhale. So what I'm going to ask you to do is for the rest of this presentation, inhale, let's say for a count to 4, and you don't have to actually count, but approximately. And exhale for twice that length, so to the count of 8. Just let it be intuitive, nothing for you to do. Just bring your attention back to your breath and how it is flowing. When you are in the breath pattern that I just described, you cannot feel fear. Fear you can only feel when you're holding your breath. So stay in that, because as you stay in that and there's no fear, you might consider the new information that I'm giving you. You might consider it differently. It might land viscerally differently. So once you're staying with your nice deep breath, intentional breath, and the more you can do that throughout your day, the better, until it becomes your new habit. The next thing is follow the impulse. So what does that mean? So as something shows up for you, as an impulse shows up for you, and an impulse can be anything from that to you notice a trigger to anything, even joy and expansion and anything that moves through your body, we're calling an impulse. So when you notice that, what you want to do is you want to move toward that. What we're used to doing, because it's our habit, is we slow things, we stop it. We try to stop it. So we notice that something's happening and we go, oh, I better not go there. Last time I did that, and remember when, and look at these people, and I'm at work, and I shouldn't, and I wouldn't, and I couldn't, and what happens if? So we go into that storytelling mode, the habituated storytelling mode that keeps us stagnated, that keeps us wanting to not feel what we're actually feeling, which then means that we're layering on top of what's actually there an untruth. So we're keeping our body in a state of confusion because the body wants to process what's actually moving. And the intellect goes, no, 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 stop, not now, not here, not this way. But the body knows that it can. So you have got to trust it. So you've got to breathe. Relax the body. Bring your attention to the base of your spine. Keep your attention at the base of your spine, because if your attention is not there, then it is outside of your body. So what you want to do is you want to ground nice and deep into the crucible of your body. Keeping your attention there, give your intellect something to do. Am I breathing nice and deep? Are my shoulders relaxed? Is my belly out? Because when you do that, what happens is you actually give your body permission to process what it's processing instead of staying in the story and the habituated way of existence. So just like, when you eat a banana, you don't tell your body to produce the enzymes that are required to break down the banana. You simply eat the banana and you trust your body to do what it's designed to do. Just like your body can do that with a physical banana, it can also do that with the energies that are moving through it. All you've got to do is trust it. Follow the impulse, even if it doesn't feel good. Follow the impulse because it is your ticket to discovery. When you do that, so when you breathe and when you follow the impulse, the next thing is you're going to discover something about yourself. You won't know what that is until you've stayed with it. And then once you actually know, the question becomes, now what? So you can choose to own the truth of that experience. So you let yourself know that it exists. You name it so that you can claim it, so you can own it, so you can choose differently. Or you can shut it down and say, I don't want to know. But here's the thing. You now already know. And the choice becomes, do you actually embrace that inner knowing or do you not? So many of us don't embrace our inner knowings because we think that if we do that, well, then we're going to have to tell somebody. We're going to have to tell, our partners that we had the thought, and what's that going to lead to, and so on and so forth. And so we become outcome oriented way into the future, or we do the same thing in the past, that the last time that you knew something like this, it cost you whatever it is that it cost you. So you never have to tell anybody. let's just be real here. For this process to be effective, you never have to tell a single soul. However, you have to be courageous enough inside yourself to know what you know. Louise Lebrun says that to tell yourself the truth of your experience is an act of courage. To tell another is an act of transformation. The thing is, you get to choose. But the more you stay with your truth, the more you claim your truth, the more you discover your own potential to be in the presence of truth. Once you know what your truth is, you've got to be willing to stay in the tough conversations with yourself and with others. But the toughest conversation you will ever be in is the one with yourself. So there are two conversations that are going on at any given time, the one that you have with yourself and the one that you have with another. You cannot shift the conversations that you have with another unless and until you shift the ones that you're having with yourself. So I know it can be tough to actually stay in those conversations because our stories take us away from the truth of the moment. We don't want to face it, right? We think the demon is so massive that we don't want to face it. But my truth about it is that the more you stay in the tough conversations and the more you discover about yourself, the more you're able to stand in larger and higher order truths. So you expand your context for living, which is pretty magical if you ask me. So if you're intimate with yourself enough to be able to hear what's actually real and true for you, and you seek to create an intimate and honest and open and respectful relationship with another, if you're not that with yourself, how do you expect to be that with another? It is not possible. And then the other will respond to you in the same way, thinking to respond in the way that you want, in what you want to hear rather than what they authentically have to say to you. And so now you're in this dance of inauthenticity, really, and people saying things that they think the other wants to hear, the other hears the things, and then they respond in the way that they think the other person wants to respond. What a mess. Oh, I got tired of even playing that out. What a mess. How much easier, how much more impactful, how much more beautiful, how much more real would your life be if you were just willing to stay with the truth of your experience? You can only do that by staying in the tough conversations inside yourself. That's how you develop capacity for intimacy. First with yourself, then with the people that you deeply care about. And here's the kicker: the more you are real with yourself, the more they have permission to be real with themselves and with you. And so it starts with you. And that's the tough part of all of this, is that we don't want to be the ones starting it. Guess what? We have to. Why? Because we're here having this conversation. So in our willingness to stay in the tough conversations, both inside ourselves and with another, if we dare to, we have to be willing to stand alone. So this does not mean that we ever have to actually be alone. It doesn't mean be alone. It means to be willing to stand alone in your own truth. It means to not capitulate what you know to another's version of reality or truth. Because the moment you capitulate your truth to another's, you have lost touch with your internal cues that guide you toward what's meaningful for you. So it's really important for us to not compromise ourselves, not compromise our higher order truth in order to, let's call it, fit in. Because let's be real here, if you're fitting in, you're not belonging. So how do we create organic, expansive collectives where each individual stands alone in their own truth and is embraced by the collective to keep discovering what their truth is and to bring that truth to the table so that everybody in the collective evolves. Because the more you become a provocational force within the collective that you're in, the more the collective evolves. This is really critical, particularly for people who have children, for people who work in environments where their work matters to them, for people who want to become and expand, who want to change, transform for the better the cultural norms out there. So if that's you, you've got to be willing to stand alone and bring the truth to the table. Willingness is a choice. To be willing is a choice. To be able, well, see the last 4 points, right? That's what we've been talking about this whole time. To be able is to apply this process in your day-to-day existence, in your moment-to-moment existence. And that's how you become less fearful about what others will think of you and less, like you will care a lot less about that, because what will matter to you is not compromising yourself, liking yourself because you know yourself. It's a really powerful, potent way to live. And what I've discovered in living this way is that the more I was willing to live this way, the more I discovered other people who are willing to live this way, and our lives are so much better as a result of that. And the final point of this, the 6 fundamentals, is shape or be shaped by your world. What I've come to discover is that I am the creator of my own reality. This is why mindset is everything. And my ability to connect to my body, to transform my mindset about, well, who and what I am, ultimately, the behaviors that I engage in, the strategies that I've normalized, the culturally conditioned self that I believe myself to be, and I know I'm not, the choices that I make, all of those things are part of what either makes me the creator to my own reality or victim to the reality of another. So when I am able to connect to my own inner cues, so when I'm able to apply the process that I've talked about until now and stay in that until I discover what's real and true and authentic and meaningful and expansive for my own evolution, then I mindfully and congruently make choices that are in alignment to my own truth. And in that, I shape the direction of the world, my world, right? Like I shape how my reality is formed. I cannot shape your reality for you. You have to do that. But by me staying in mine and living my life in the way that I do, I become an invitation for you to live this way. So I've often heard Louise Lebrun say we're thought viruses. So what are we spreading? Are we spreading a reality where we are creators and we can actually manifest the reality that we seek to manifest? Or are we simply bystanders or worse than that, victims of someone else's creation? That's what habits are. Your habits have absolutely immense intelligence, and we'll talk about that at another time, but your habits are incredibly powerful in shaping your reality. The problem is that they were developed at a very early age in response to an environment that may or may not have been safe. And if your environment was not safe when you were growing up. Your habits are all responses as an away from strategy, meaning away from pain, away from fear, away from outrage and shame and hopelessness and all the things that happen to be true for most people on the planet, actually for all people on the planet. So, this is your opportunity to awaken to your own potential, to awaken to your own capacity for creation, because we are intentional beings. We are creators. And so the question becomes, how do we create? We can create mindfully or we can create habitually. The kicker is it's a choice. So, mindfulness is a choice. To be mindful is not easy, particularly when we're so used to the habituated ways that we move through the world, but it is a choice. You can pause at any point and breathe. Bring your attention to the base of your spine. Connect with the impulses that are moving through your body. Let yourself know the truth of your experience. Stay in that tough conversation with yourself. Be willing to stay alone, to stand alone, so that you can shape your reality. But that pause is a choice. And that's where it starts. The moment that you notice agitation, irritation, fear, hopelessness, despair, whatever it happens to be, all of the emotions, pause. And the moment you pause, you awaken to your habit. So you awaken your, let's call it conscious mind, your awareness to your habits. And you give yourself an opportunity to change those habits by engaging this process. So if you learn nothing else but to pause in the moment that a trigger presents and breathe into it, I mean, that's huge already, because that's how you reclaim your personal power. Now, choice is so important. We're not taught the power of choice in our day-to-day living, but choice lives in the gap between pause and breath. And so if you pause and you intentionally breathe, you discover all the ways in which you have choice in your life. So to stay awake, to stay aware, to stay present in your moment is a choice. The question becomes, will you choose it? So I have created a free resource that you can find on my website called Accelerated Personal Evolution. And I created this guide with journaling questions over 10 days. Now, I have chosen 10 days specifically because that's the magical number from a Whispers from Within experience that we have discovered in the Well Systems body of wisdom in the way that we live. 10 days, something magical about it, don't know why. Stream of consciousness writing, which means that you write unedited for self-discovery, for self-reflection and self-discovery. And in doing so, you discover the power of the process of living from that stream of consciousness way. So from living from the truth of your experience, from living internally referenced, from living from the moment that you're in. So this is a great question, or a great quote. The quality of my life is not dependent on the accuracy of my answers, but on the courage of my questions. The questions that I ask in this Accelerated Evolution Guide are immense. They are higher order expressions. So they're here, they're intentionally designed to awaken you, to provoke you, to compel you to notice just how powerful you really are. In truth, honesty isn't that easy. right? Like being honest is not easy. And yet, without that, all we've got is the default. All we've got is illusion. All we've got is living in a perpetually expansive lie. The problem is that our bodies won't let us live like that forever. And so we can either try to numb it or shut it down or do all the things that people are doing to distract themselves to escape how they actually feel, or we can stay with it and we can discover what's really and truly going on underneath all of that, because there's absolute gold to be discovered there. Are you willing to discover it? That is the question. And in order to do that, you have got to be radically honest with yourself about yourself. So, if this was meaningful to you, I encourage you to download the free guide that I mentioned, delve into the questions over the 10 days. If you'd like, you can actually email me the answers as you write them if you're courageous enough. That's how your life transforms. Remember, it's an act of transformation. Telling yourself is an act of courage, telling another is an act of transformation. I'd love to receive those emails from you, and then we can delve into the process of what's going on with you. You can check out my other resources. That's a $400 gift, by the way, because I actually do this process for as part of my coaching. Anyway, so you can download other resources that I have. And if you're very courageous and very eager, you can join me and a small group of women in the Igniting Your Potential monthly conversations that are designed really to compel you to discover and implement how to live by intention, how to live from your inner cues, how to be more powerful in the creation of your own life. So essentially, we take all of this and we apply it in all this and more, and we apply it in the moment that we're in so you can sense viscerally be in the presence of its transformational power. So, if you care to create a meaningful life, let's talk. I look forward to hearing from you. And if you found this presentation meaningful, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, breathing is good.